Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Two Player Podcast with Matt Likes Games and Ham Solo. Enjoy the show.
All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Two Player Podcast with myself, Matt Likes Games, and my buddy Ham Solo 05 Gaming. Got topics to get into today, obviously, but before we do that, let's get into the intros. Ham, how you doing? What's up? What you been playing? What's going on?
I'm all right. Just chilling. Beat Hellblade, of course, and been playing some 2K and Immortals of Avium with the new frame generation update. Let's see. I just downloaded the Order 1886. I'm gonna be playing probably later on this evening. Trying to think, some X Defiant and Call of Duty as well. That's pretty much the gist of it.
Gotcha. What are your thoughts on the Immortals of Avium update?
Immortals of Avium update, it definitely is a lot smoother and a lot easier to, keep my eyes on compared to before. So I think they did a really good job with the whole frame generation addition to it. It's a fun game, but it doesn't like all of a sudden make it like one of like the games of the year or anything like that. It's just a nice little update. The game didn't look as pretty before. Now it looks better. So it's one of those.
Yeah, I would second that statement. It's a huge change in that it adds frame generation, but otherwise it's still the same game. You either love it or you don't. I had fun with it, beat it. It was a fun time. Gameplay is really cool. So, and it's in Game Pass Ultimate or EA Play, whichever one you have. So you can check that out if you're interested in that. But I would agree with them on that. As for myself, PS5 blows in the chat. What's up? As for myself, I mean, sheesh. Yeah, I'm with you there. I beat Hellblade 2. We will be talking about that for a little bit. I've restarted playing Call of Duty, the Black Ops series, because I want to go through that. With the exception of 3, I'm not playing 3. I have no intention. 4 doesn't even have a campaign. I'm not playing 3. I'll play 1, 2, Cold War, and then that's it. And that's it until Call of Duty Black Ops 6. Stanley Francois, what's going on? Appreciate you for stopping by. But I mean, I'm trying to think of anything else. X Defiant, you mentioned X Defiant. I'm playing X Defiant a little bit. I've been enjoying my time with that. And that is about it. That's honestly about it. Oh, Killzone 2. I restarted Killzone 2 also on PS3. So been playing that, but we can actually get into the topics now. And since we both mentioned Hellblade 2, we might as well talk about Hellblade 2 up front on the show. Give our general review. Doesn't can be as in depth or not in depth as you would like. But Ham, what are your thoughts after beating Hellblade 2? Oh, you're muted.
It was one of the better stories that I've played
Mm-hmm.
in quite some time. It still isn't like the most fun game that I played this year, though. I want to throw that out there because I feel like people hear like the best stories and whatnot and think that it's like the best of like the best in like fun and gameplay and whatnot. Like I still have like I've still had more fun playing other games, but in like as an impact game as that game seems to be, it had a bigger impact than I had anticipated. and it progressively got better and better and better all the way up until the end. I was happy to give it the score that I gave it, a 9.2, for what it was. I gave it a score for what it was, not for what it wasn't. Not yeah, I just gave it a score for what I personally thought it was, and I thought it was on the tier of great game because it's told a great story. It did exactly what it set out to do. It improved in the dimensions that the studio wanted it to improve in. There were there a couple things missing that could have been there that would have made the game a 9.5 or a 9.75. Absolutely. Like if they just had just like kind of like what Stellar Blade has, where it's like a boss mode or a rise of Son of Rome, where you could just like do or like you could do like some sort of like, you know, like I don't know, some sort of ring, a fire, or something like that, like what's it, like horde mode or something like that, where you just keep fighting until you die or something like that, try to beat a record or whatever, or some sort of rogue likeness to it, just as a second piece of gameplay. I think that would have been really hot, but it wasn't there. But they definitely did improve in every aspect, in my opinion. I thought they turned everything up in that game in comparison to the last one.
Yeah. So I'm there with you. I think it's a pretty big improvement on the first game in just about every conceivable way. Like everything, like all the hallmarks of the first game that were like the things that the first game touted as being like amazing. These are like the best parts of the game, like the audio, the visuals, the story. I feel all got better. The motion capture, like the motion capture in the first game, like the way they do motion capture in Ninja Theory is really good. But like everything they did really good in the first game was better in the second game. So they did that for me. I've debated this in my head quite a bit. I want to give this game a 10. I want to. But I struggle to give it a 10, and it's kind of dumb, but I struggle to give it a 10 because I feel like it could have gone another hour, maybe another hour and a half, and it didn't. But at the same time, like I said, I'm debating in my head, can I really hold that against the game if that's the story they wanted to tell? And that's just how long the story they wanted to tell ended up being. I don't know. I'm going 9.5. I go 9.5 on this. I feel similar to how you said that it's not the most fun game I've played, and not even this year. I would agree with that. I feel the same way about this game. And granted, they're two different budgets, two different lengths for sure. I feel the same way about this game that I felt about Alan Wake 2 last year. Alan Wake 2 was not the most fun game that I played last year. I don't even think it's probably in the top 5 most fun games I played last year. But the impact that game had, the sections, there were some really fucking cool sections in that game. Just like there are some really fucking cool sections in this game where it's like that plus the impact that the game had, the story that it told, the benchmark that it sets visually. Both games set a pretty huge visual benchmark. Also Unreal Engine 5, which is worth noting. And then also the audio design. Both games, again, very similar. The audio design in both games is phenomenal. Phenomenal. I feel like Alan Wake 2 wasn't more fun than Starfield, which was my game of the year before I played Alan Wake 2. Just like Hellblade 2 certainly isn't more fun than we'll throw out Helldivers 2, for example. It's not in the same like genre or league of game, but it's doing a different thing and it does it so well that I would put it over that. Right now, Hellblade 2 is my game of the year. We'll see how that ends at the end of the year. I got a feeling something might pass that. I think it'll be pretty difficult, but I got a feeling that there is one thing that could pass that for me for sure, and that would be Avowed for me personally. But we will see how it goes. But I'm right there. I think Hellblade 2 is my game of the year right now. What are your thoughts on that? Like, if you had to go your game of the year right now, whether it's Hellblade 2 or not, what do you have in that spot right now?
Probably go with Persona 3 Reloaded.
Okay.
Like, I'd probably say so far, like, but I haven't finished that game, so I mean that could change.
Mm-hmm.
There's still a lot for me to play and figure out within that game. But yeah, other than that, it's hard for me to really have a game of the year right now, knowing that like the better half of video games hasn't even started. Like, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
Like the way I feel right now is how I felt last year, like around after the time that Redfall came out, where it was like, okay, well, we have some cool games that came out during this time. Redfall wasn't cool, one of them, but but what I'm saying is, it's just like there's some cool games out right now, but there like I find myself not really being able to fully appreciate it all until it's all on the table, right? Like, I
Yeah.
feel like I'm gonna be like, oh man, this mac and cheese is the best, and then the fucking stuffing hits the table, and then the fucking whatever the fuck
Yeah.
hits the table, and it's just like, like I didn't get a chance to taste that. Now I'm tasting that. Now I'm thinking that might be the best, and I'm more excited about what's ahead of me than I am just appreciating what I just ate.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah,
that
I'm more or less just like, I think for sure by October, by the release of Call of Duty, I should know.
Yeah. I'm there with you. I think I mentioned Avowed, I think could beat this game for me just because of the kind of game Avowed is. I'm gonna throw another game in there that isn't confirmed for this year, but there are reports that it could come out this year. And there's also reports that we will be seeing it at the Xbox showcase. Doom, The Dark Ages. Uh I think that could also end up being my game of the year if it were to release this year. We will see how that goes.
Which
But
game?
Doom, The Dark Ages.
Oh yeah. Oh.
Uh because that it sounds like because Eternal, like our buddy Mike loves Doom Eternal. It's like his favorite game of all time. For me, I prefer Doom 2016. Eternal is really good. It's just it feels like Doom 2016. It feels like all the devs just did Adderall and turned it up way faster, which a lot of people like. But I kind of liked how I wouldn't say slow because you're not slow in Doom 2016, but how like not as fast you were in 2016. We'll say that. And it sounds like they're going back to that in this new game. Maybe even kind of slower. We'll see what happens. But I feel like if that game hits, that could certainly be a contender for me for Game of the Year. But we'll find out. We have to see the release date first of all. But yeah, Hellblade 2, Ham gave it a 9.2. I'm at a 9.5. Bottom line is it's a really great game. If you're into that kind of game, highly recommend you check it out. If you're not into that kind of game and you know what kind of game this is, there's really no point. You will be disappointed. That's just the way it's going to be. But I highly recommend it. I highly recommend just booting it up just for the showcase of how damn good it looks. Quite honestly, I think it's worth booting up just for that alone. But who knows? Maybe you'll get hooked and see it all the way through like I did. So that's the Hellblade 2 review. But more news. And Ham just mentioned Call of Duty. Call of Duty Black Ops 6 coming to Game Pass on day one. And it's not coming to a single tier of Game Pass like I thought it might. I don't know about Ham, but I thought for sure it might come to a single tier of Game Pass. It is coming to Game Pass for console, PC Game Pass, and Game Pass Ultimate. The only one it's not coming to, apparently, is Xbox Game Pass Core, which, quite frankly, I don't know who's using Xbox Game Pass Core right now. But Ham, I want to pass it off to you. Are you shocked? Are you shocked? I mean, there's so many people for so long saying they can't do it. It doesn't make any sense. They can't put Call of Duty in Game Pass. And then there are also people saying that, hey, even if they do put Call of Duty in Game Pass, it's not going to happen for years because they got the deal with Sony in place. Well, look at this. It looks like they bought out the deal with Sony. It looks like they bought that shit out because Black Ops 6 coming to Game Pass later this year, day one. What are your thoughts, Sam?
Yeah. I think it's funny. They're like, fuck out of here with that bullshit. This is ours now. This is my ship. And I'll drive it the way I want to drive it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's funny. All the people that said it wasn't coming, I think they're just a bunch of goofies and they just didn't want it to come. It's not that I'm not even sure if they even really believed that it wasn't going to come. I just feel like they didn't want it to come, so they just projected that and hoped that, and kind of just threw a Hail Mary and just hoped that it was real.
Yeah.
I mean, that's honestly what it felt like. I'm really excited to see this come because I've bitched about it for years already. Like games that come out like almost every year, IP that come out almost every year. I'm not trying to buy that every year. And if it's especially as similar as Call of Duty is year after year, not saying that like sometimes it can feel like copy and paste, to be real. But like as of lately, it's been kind of more variety, and I've liked some. I like the direction that they've gone multiplayer, not so much story. So we'll see how they did with story in comparison of the last game, because I thought the last game story was a dud for me personally. It just it was just too hands off. It was so hands off that I just wasn't really feeling it. It felt like Warzone. It felt like single player Warzone, and it just felt weird. So I wasn't really that big of a fan of it.
Yeah, I didn't even beat it. Did you beat it?
No. I got to
same.
the third level part, and I was like, I think I've had enough.
Yeah, it's
because all the game is about is like attack it the way that you want to attack it, and I'm like, well, that's like the opposite reason of why I like Call of Duty.
Yeah,
I like Call of Duty because it was like linear, and it was like you do this, and then you get to try out this, and then you get to try out AC-130 and chopper gunner, and you'll swim in this one, and grapple in this part, and shoot down a building, and like it was just like it was very movie like as compared to like just like a sandbox of no real like intense cinematic moment, at least up to the point that I played it.
Sure.
So like, what? Go on ahead.
No, I was gonna say I think the best part of Modern Warfare 3's campaign was like the first level on the. I think you drove in on boats and then you got on this place, and then you kind of took people out, and that was like the most linear part of what I played so far.
I think I'm gonna go back and finish it just because I do want to finish all the Call of Duty campaigns.
Yeah.
And I think that with this announcement that it's coming, and then the new one's coming to Game Pass, I would only assume that they bring back all the old ones, because it's like, why not?
Sure.
Well, I mean, why would you put if you're if you were worried about like if you're trying to get people into Call of Duty, I don't feel like you'd want to limit them to the newest one, especially if like the oldest one and an older one was like their favorite or something like that. You just want as many people on your ecosystem dash platform, whatever, as possible. So might as well just unlock them all. Whether it's through Loke's idea of a drip feed or my idea of what they did with Bethesda and just kind of throw down the, throw the sausage down there and just say, here it is. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, I just think that that we should definitely get that, especially as much as Xbox likes to praise like the element of choice and stuff like that. I think that'd be a good call. It'd be nice to see, but you asked me if I expected it, and I 100% did. I wasn't ready to say no, it ain't coming until they said it ain't coming.
Yeah.
Because it's just like you told me your plan, and sure, you didn't back up everything that you said, that's for sure. But like the main plan was everything on Game Pass. That was the main plan. And to see that that hasn't changed it's nice.
Yeah. I think, I mean, this puts to bed, like, I've seen people try to spin this as like this is a Hail Mary attempt to make Game Pass relevant. It's like, well, even if that is, are you saying like by all means, this is something that should boost Game Pass numbers. And like, I gotta be honest, I'm not keeping up with what the numbers are. I don't even think they were talking about it. Um, but I know the general sentiment is that apparently it kind of went a little flat over the last couple of years. I think Call of Duty is exactly the kind of thing that you need to shoot that thing back up again. And the fact that you would be presumably getting Call of Duty, uh, I don't know if they're going to switch back to the whole biannual thing, because I know that was a plan before this acquisition went through. That they wanted to do it biannually, and then we saw it happen with Modern Warfare 3, where it was like, well, fuck it, we're putting Modern Warfare 3 out. So who knows if they go back to biannual after this? But if it's, especially if it's annually, which I kind of hope it's not, but especially if it is, you should see a spike of players just about every year coming through on Game Pass. So, and that's just for Call of Duty, not to mention, I mean, there's a bunch of other games coming out first party wise. There's one that just released this year on Xbox. So, plus the third party stuff is always nice too. But like, this should help a lot in that respect. And as for if I'm surprised, not really. I kind of went back and forth, honestly, over the years of whether or not they would do that, just because I could see the argument for both sides. I could see the argument for them putting it in Game Pass, and I could also see the argument for them not putting it in Game Pass. And I kind of teetered back and forth on it. But the thing that made me kind of solidify that it is coming in Game Pass before this whole thing was Sarah Bond with Phil Spencer back in February at their whole business update meeting. And Sarah Bond, multiple times, I feel like throughout that business meeting, she was like, every first party game will be in Game Pass. She said like a few times throughout that.
Right.
And then she also had that weird interview after that whole Tango and Roundhouse and Arcane Austin, like all that stuff came out. Yeah, she said it again at that interview. So I'm like, okay, well, definitely sounds like that's going to be the case. And well, lo and behold, that is the case. Call of Duty Black Ops 6 in the Game Pass day one. We don't know the release date of it yet, but we're all assuming we're going to find out at this Call of Duty Direct this year after the showcase, which, by the way, I will be live streaming that here on the channel. So if you want to come through for a live stream for that, check it out with us. I'm going to see if I can get Mike on here. I want to see about Vinny, the whole gang. See about getting them all on here. Are you doing something on your show for the live stream?
For what?
For the Xbox show?
I'm not doing anything like not during the show.
Sure. You want to be on here? React to it?
Sure.
Let's go.
I mean, I'm not gonna do any like like recording or do anything like I wasn't planning on really doing anything live for my channel just because I don't want to get no stupid copyright thing. So
Yeah, I get that. I get that. That can be pretty shitty sometimes. Especially because now you are over. Like you guys are like well over 1K, right?
yeah.
Yeah. So I get that 100%. But for this channel, there will be a live reaction of that. So look forward to that. Anything? Let me see if there's anything else we want to say about Call of Duty. I don't think so. Is there anything else you want to say about Call of Duty before we move on?
Not in particular.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Well, up next, let me bring this up over here and then bring it up on stream so you guys can see it. But up next, we got to talk a little bit about Xbox. This is a report. Reportedly signs the first game from Rocksteady co-founder's new studio, 100 Star Games, is said to be developing a single-player action adventure game for Xbox and PC, presumably. Uh, this is something, probably still very early in development, but it is a AAA single player action adventure title powered by Unreal Engine 5, according to this article. Uh, First off, before we go through the rest of this article, what are your thoughts? Are you excited for this? Are you excited to hear news of this? And also, did you play the Arkham games? I'll ask you that also.
I played some of them.
Mhm.
I still need to go back. I bought all of them, but I still need to go back and play them.
Yeah,
It's in my backlog.
I get that. I beat Asylum. I haven't beat City, and I haven't even really played Arkham Knight. But Asylum was phenomenal. Uh, but this game, Unreal Engine 5, AAA single player action adventure. I know the big controversy, or I don't know if it's a big controversy. It's just something I've seen online. A few people talk about, uh, but a few people online are pretty upset about the fact that I seen the sentiment of like, oh, great, these two guys who saw the development of Suicide Squad, and then when it didn't go as according to plan, they just dipped and left everyone else to deal with it. Is this? I don't know if that's true, but I know that's a sentiment online. Uh, but all I know for sure is they're tied to the Arkham games. I think Arkham Asylum's the not one of, but the best superhero game ever made. So, I mean, if that game was made by these two guys, I mean, plus a lot of other people, but if that game was created by these two guys in particular, then I'm excited for whatever comes next from them. But it is a new studio, 100 Star Games. Are you excited to check out whatever they might be working on? Does single player action adventure title powered by Unreal Engine 5 get you excited?
Well, of course. I mean that sounds nice. I like this. I mean it's. I'm gonna say the same thing I've said about other things that are brand new. It's exciting to see a new team, but it's hard to like get like overly energized about anything without anything being able to be referenced. Like I can't like you can say, oh, they did these past games. They were part of this team, and it's like cool. Well, now they're in a different team,
Yeah.
right? It's not going to be the exact same thing. It might have traits from it, but like asking me to be excited about this is kind of like asking me to be excited about what was it, Callisto Protocol. You know, I got super excited for that new team, and look how that went. Like I thought it was pretty good game, but it wasn't like if I allowed myself to get as excited as I was for like Callisto kind of shit and whatnot, I feel like I'm kind of setting myself up for failure. So I'd just rather just not work myself up and get excited and just let them surprise me.
I get that. Callisto Protocol was a bummer. And I've said this before, but it's nuts. If you would have told me, if you would have asked me which one I think was going to hit more between Callisto Protocol and the Dead Space remake, I, no questions asked, would have said Callisto Protocol. And I remember Callisto Protocol came out, I had it pre-ordered day one, $70. It was fine. It was fine. Except for a few parts, a few pieces of that game were not fine at all. Some pieces of that game were very stupid, but have since been fixed. And then Dead Space Remake, just as soon as that game was just phenomenal. I'm still a little bit bummed that game wasn't mentioned in Game of the Year. I know it was a remake. I just feel like they did enough to deserve to be in the Game of the Year race. But it is what it is. But as for this game, I'm pretty excited for it. Just again, the Arkham creators are tied to it, so I'm excited to see how it turns out. It might not even be in the same genre as a superhero game. I wouldn't expect that it is, because I feel like we would know about that if it was, especially if it was a big license. So it sounds like it might be something entirely new, which again, exciting. It's new. You don't know what it could be. You love to speculate on it and everything, but time will tell. We'll see what it is whenever they're ready to show it to us. But I am looking forward to seeing that. Up next, though, we're getting through these first couple topics pretty quick. But up next is the Sony State of Play. This just got announced today over on Twitter by PlayStation. Says State of Play returns with a 30-plus minute broadcast this Thursday at 3 p.m. Pacific time. Tune in live for updates on 14 PS5 and PlayStation VR 2 titles, including a look at PlayStation Studios titles arriving later this year. Ham, are you excited for this?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I mean, they couldn't have made it any more last minute.
They did. I saw somebody was dragging Jeff Grubb today saying it's not going to happen. And then it happened, and Jeff quote tweeted him with a video.
Oh, yeah. See, that's why I should just shut up. Just shut up. Let people just say what they want to say, and if it's clear past the time, then go on ahead. But y'all couldn't even give it to the end of the month.
Yeah.
Y'all couldn't even give it to the end of the month, and now look at you.
Yeah. They're look. A lot of people are looking a little silly. Looking a little silly online right now. But I don't know what to like. I'm excited. I mean, honest, I'll be at work whenever this comes at 6 p.m. Eastern. So yeah, I'll be at work when this, because I'll have to watch it after I'm out of work. But like, I'm excited to see what they got. It says a look at PlayStation Studios titles arriving later this year. I do believe they said it, although like don't expect. Was it not any new first party games from them, or was it like not any new first party games from existing series from them until like 2025? I can't remember how they put that, but it does say here PlayStation Studio titles arriving later this year, which who knows what that might be. I mean, maybe Concord, something like that, could be this year. But do you have any predictions for this showcase State of Play in particular?
Concord, I think it will be announced finally, and we'll see what that's about. They might have some gameplay for Phantom Blade Zero, which would be nice to see more about.
That game, I'm skeptical of that game. I gotta see more.
Yeah, I know. Me too. I'm still skeptical about it. I need to see like what is like legit gameplay and not seeming like because Because some people were going with that was gameplay last time, and I was like, well, if that is, it's a lot of QTE. That's not a whole lot of
Yeah. If that's
you.
gameplay, whew, I don't
There's,
like that's too nuts.
I mean, I would like to believe, or not that I'd like to believe. I believe that it'd be. It's just hard to believe that that dude's standing on that like that train thing, that train car as it's moving and fighting. Like, I have a hard time believing that's like you
Yeah.
actually controlling the character there. I mean, if you are, then goodness gracious, like you are changing gaming.
Yeah. That speaking, I want to talk about this. I mean, when we get to it, but that reminded me of something I do want to talk about. But what's up, Mental? Appreciate you for stopping by, buddy. But yeah, like as for my self expectations for this, like I mentioned, Concord. I think that's a safe bet. What's the name of the game? You just said it. We were just now talking about it.
Phantom Blade.
Phantom Blade. Phantom Blade. I could see that being there. I really like. I'm not too excited for that game because I'm not sold on the fact that that thing is what we saw. I got to see more of that to verify for myself that that is what we actually saw.
There is another game kind of in a familiar vein of that game that I wouldn't be surprised to see at the state of play. Also, we might see more Black Myth, Wukong, more
Yeah,
gameplay from that there. Maybe like the
yeah.
NCAA football game that's coming out. I know that they're supposed to be. I thought that they're supposed to be releasing more information tomorrow. So that
Oh,
could be something that might show up there, but I don't know. I could be
yeah.
completely wrong about that as well. I just don't know. Like I'm trying to leave my mind open for both this week and next week's showcase. So
God,
yeah,
that's right.
yeah,
The Xbox show is technically next week.
it's next
Oh
Thursday.
man,
Yeah,
next Thursday. Isn't it next Sunday?
is it this? Yeah, next Thursday. Is it the 6th or the 9th?
Ew, let me look that up really quick.
Because if it's the 9th, then yeah,
Uh,
it's Sunday.
uh,
If it's Thursday, then it's if it's next Thursday, then it's the 6th. I thought it was on the 6th, but it might be on the 9th.
Xbox Showcase 2024. Come on. June 9th. So
Okay,
yeah,
so it is on a Sunday.
it's Sunday,
Wow.
10 a.m. Pacific time. Dude, I was gonna be a little bit upset if that was on Thursday. I was gonna be a little bit upset.
I'm the opposite. I'm a little upset that it's Sunday.
Damn. Hey man. I'm listen, I'm happy about a showcase either way, but I'm me personally, I'm glad it's Sunday. I'm glad
I
it's
know
Sunday.
for you because you would have to work, right? So,
Yeah, I would have had to
but
work. I
like,
wouldn't have been able to make a video. It would have been bad.
I'm just not sure like what I'm gonna be busy doing. I might be busy with family stuff, which is like
Mm-hmm.
not exciting. It's not exciting
Ah,
that that's colliding.
yes.
Is what I mean. So, because
Yeah.
I'm going because I know I'm going to Denver. Like I believe like next Friday to drop off my kid and then coming back. But man, this is kind of fucking some shit up for me a little bit.
Damn. That's no good. Uh, so yeah, I don't. I'm gonna go into this showcase with no expectations. Uh, I feel like whenever I go into a PlayStation showcase with no expectations, I'm quite often usually pleased, especially with their state of plays. Whenever I don't have any sort of expectation, I'm usually pretty pleased with what I ended up seeing. It's when I get expectations and I start paying attention to like if there's leaks or whatever, like, oh, for sure we're gonna see this, and then I start getting excited and then we don't see it. And it's like I think back to that one year, I think it was just last year when I can't remember who it was. It was Herman Hulst, who was like, "Oh, I was just over at Sony Santa Monica, and man, they're cooking up something. I can't wait for you to see." And I was like, right before the showcase, and the showcase came and went. We didn't see it, and everybody's like, "Why
Right.
would you say that? Why would you say that right before the showcase if we're not going to see that shit?" But going into this one, no expectations. Hope it's good. I am interested if they do show Concord. I'm definitely interested to see what that is. Other than like, because right now all that is right now to me is the cheeseburger, the jiggly cheeseburger game from the trailer. That's all that
Right.
is to me right now. But apparently it's an FPS game, seemingly multiplayer, seems to fit into the whole live service thing. So if that's the case, I'm definitely interested to see that because I love multiplayer FPS games. So we'll see what happens. I was actually going to ask, what do you think? We'll see at the Xbox showcase, but we'll save that for next week because that is the last show before the showcase.
Right.
But the thing that you reminded me of was, and I'm gonna look for an article here. I don't know if you saw. We talked about it on Bullsitting. That whole Neil Druckmann quote.
Yeah, it looks
Uh,
like Sony took that away.
it looks like Sony just shoved a bunch of words into this guy's mouth, which was not good. Because, like, I mean, you heard what I said. I know what you guys said, but you heard what I said. I was like, that was some of the most pretentious shit I've ever heard in my life. And come to find out, he said none of it. He did not say anything that was even kind of like that. And Sony actually had to release a statement. So Sony Interactive Entertainment has pulled a controversial interview with Neil Druckmann, the head of The Last of Us developer Naughty Dog. Last week, Sony published a now archived Q&A with The Last of Us creator about the evolution of storytelling. In the interview, Druckmann spoke about the role of AI in game development, the impact of new technologies on storytelling, advice for new creators, and his hopes for a dream project. Since such interviews with high-profile AAA creators are relatively rare, news outlets picked up the interview, focusing on Druckmann's comments about generative AI. I know he had some comments about AI that people got pretty upset about, but the thing that I'm talking about, and that we talked about in your show last week, was him. I forget what the direct quote was, but him allegedly saying that the next game they're making was going to change gaming. And it was such a douchey, like the direct quote was something so douchey that it made my spine tingle. It made me a little bit angry. And then, like, I don't know, that weekend Neil Druckmann was like, "Yeah, I didn't say any of this." So I mean, what are your thoughts on Sony kind of throwing him under the bus a little bit with this?
Who throwing what under the bus? I'm sorry.
Sony throwing Neil Druckmann under the bus,
I
basically
mean,
putting words in his mouth.
I mean, I don't think it was a big deal until the backlash was on it. Like, I think they would have just let it ride if there wasn't anybody kicking
Mhm.
up and being pissed about it. Right? So I feel like it was just maybe a bad look for Neil, and Neil was like, "Hey, take that off of there." I didn't say
Right.
that. So it's just like one of those moments where they thought they were a little bit more untouchable than they really were, and fucked
Yeah.
around and found out.
Yeah. And so the direct quote, the thing that I said was so douchey that it made my spine tingle, was he allegedly said that their next game could, quote, redefine mainstream perceptions of gaming. Again, like, just one of the most pretentious things you could ever say. And as pretentious as I think that Neil Druckmann is sometimes, and he does come off pretentious sometimes, I just, like, I was floored when I read that quote. And then to find out that, like, wasn't even true. Sony kind of just tossed him under the bus. I don't know whose idea it was to run with that quote, but whoever it was, y'all fucked up a little bit because you got a lot of people pissed at Neil, and then once they found out that wasn't even true that he said that, you got a lot of people pissed at you now. So not a good look for you guys, quite honestly.
I think they'd rather have it on them
Yeah.
than it on
Yeah.
Neil.
Yes. Especially because he's like of their studios. I guess you could argue Insomniac's more important, and they probably are right now. But like historically, Naughty Dog is their studio. That's like their shit. And to have the main guy at Naughty Dog under fire for shit he didn't say because someone at your company decided, hey, he said that, not a good look. And I would agree with you. They probably want it on them, not Neil. So I guess hats off to them for at least taking ownership for the fact that he didn't say that shit, which is nice to see. Otherwise, that shit would have just been out there.
Right.
But I'm trying to see if there was anything else because the show was short today, and I don't have any more topics. Like, is there something else I'm missing?
Not that I know of, really. I mean, there's not a whole lot to talk. I mean, everything that there is to talk about is things that are coming up. Like we're talking about the showcase. That is something, that has to come and go before we really can dissect or get into like how things were. And as for new games, like if you think about it, there's not a whole lot of new games that are scheduled to come out all the way up until dang near dang near like the end of August. I mean, other than NCAA football, which I'm excited for, and like Elden Ring DLC, which isn't coming until like the end of June or something like that.
Oh
So
my
it's
God,
just
I
like,
forgot about the Elden Ring DLC.
yeah. So it's just
Jeez.
like, other than what is coming, I mean, that's really all that there is to talk about is what is coming because nothing is really here right now.
Yeah. There's not a whole lot to talk about. I feel like that's going to change next week. We're going to have. I mean, we'll know, of course, what they showed at PlayStation Showcase, which I'm sure we'll talk about on Friday over on Bullsitting on Ham's channel. But yeah, next week I feel like will be the show with a lot to talk about. But this week, kind of a lighter episode, a little bit shorter. I'm not mad at it or anything, but let's get into the outros. Ham, start us off. Where can they find you? What are you up to? What's going on this week?
Not a whole lot, man. Just chilling. Just waiting on these showcases and stuff to happen. I don't have anything really going on this week to be excited or talk about. I got an interview that I'm supposed to have tomorrow, and that is supposed to be with KDOT, but I have to double check. I don't even know if that's actually gonna happen.
Kendrick Lamar? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, right.
Ham got Kendrick Lamar on the show to talk about gaming.
How about that?
It's a sick exclusive interview, but looking forward to it. But
Right.
yeah, link in the description. Check out his channel. Because like I said, Friday will be over there for sure. He has his show tomorrow, but we'll be talking about the showcase and everything on Friday, and that'll be a good show. So check that out. As for myself, I mean, you find me here every week. Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Eastern for the Two Player Podcast with myself and Ham Solo. Mondays and Fridays are videos. Mondays at 8 p.m. is the L3R3 podcast with myself, Hard Days Mike, and it's me, Twan. And then you can find me over on Twitter at Matt Likes Games. That's where you can find me. That's where you can find Ham. We're going to get up out of here. We will see you all next week. Peace.